Welcome to CryptoTwits. No interview today. It is just two bald men wearing our hats.
I don't want the shine to just blind everybody. I'm freshly shaved.
This is just not safe up here.
See? It's got the shine.
That's not the only thing glowing is my personality today. All right. Let's see. We're going to dive right in because, what is happening in crypto and the rest of the globe? Something about an evil regime somewhere.
I mean,
and oil?
Every time they bring up a new leader, the guy disappears. So I don't know what's really going on over there.
The one message I sent you. Hold on. I'm not going to show the picture, but I'll just explain it. People think it's funny. It's somebody on X took an Amazon box and then put the face, and it says they order supreme leaders on Prime because the packages keep disappearing. That's hilarious.
I'd just be terrified to be named the next leader of something. Like, please, no, don't.
You know, I actually don't watch enough American movies or television because they would know, like, bringing everybody into a room in a building where we pretty much know where everybody is all the time is never a good idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like Designated Survivor. That was a great show.
That was a very good show.
But still, I was thinking, like, yeah, maybe that's not a good idea to have everybody together.
Nope. But today I want to go over the asset class that is the one that oddly seems to be the most boring, or at least affected, and is holding out pretty nicely. It is crypto. I mean, it was already beaten down and peed on, but right now nobody is currently walking by it, kicking it in the head and peeing on it. It's just kind of like, oh, there you are, where everything else is just kind of falling apart. Crypto's sitting there. In fact, last week, this is kind of fun. Oh, I got to do my, hold on. Let me get the screen share here. My screens. Do the screen share. There we go.
Yeah, pick which of your 12 screens you want to share.
All right. So this is Bitcoin's weekly chart. And a couple of things happened last week. Bitcoin barely closed in the green, but it did close in the green, like a gain of $199. I mean, it went up to 74K at one point before closing at 65K, but it still closed in the green, snapping a 6-week losing streak, which is the longest, I think, since 2018. 2022. Yeah. So that is a pretty good thing. And it is up 6% this week. And I think, I think I have that in my notes here. So that's pretty interesting. The total market cap in the green by 5%. The altcoin market cap is up 4%. And then, when I'm looking at all the others, even the total this is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins is up 4.5%. So that's, I don't know, you look at that positive or not positive, and that is all under the backdrop of other things. But what I want to go over is, compared to gold is relatively flat. The S&P is down 1%. Nasdaq 2. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong on these, Joey, but these are just in my notes. It might have changed when I wrote them a couple days ago. Gold flat. Is that?
Let's see. Over what period?
Just, I guess, like since February 28th. I mean, relatively flat. I mean, it's not like up or down like 5-6% or anything.
Yeah, it's 0.82.
The Nasdaq down 2%ish.
That sounds right.
And Brent crude up. Oh yeah, actually, I have the chart here.
That one, it's just so hard to track. At one point, it was up.
CL
kissed.
Last week it closed up 30. So this is the futures, CL light crude oil futures, 35.6% last week, and then God, look at that. If ugly were a candlestick, this would be what it looks like. It's up 4.21% after gapping up, and it got up to 120, which was the highest since the zombie apocalypse, correct?
That was funny because, like, I mean, our team was internally creating a bunch of videos around it about oil 120. And then it's like, by the time the videos are edited, ready to go out, it's like, sorry, it's actually, that's gone. It's negative now.
So to put things into perspective, the most like risk on assets are crypto, and, just Bitcoin has kind of, outperformed the majority of assets very well. And then even like crypto related stocks, I'm looking at my notes here. If you're looking down here, like Circle's up 12%, Strategy's up 6%, Galaxy Digital is up 4.7%. That was, it was up early Monday after the first strikes.
Circle's up 100% in the last month.
Yeah. And they were down. I just wrote something about them not too long ago about how they, like as far as like crypto IPOs, they were one of the best looking ones in that. But when I wrote that, it was up like 2% above its IPO.
Yeah, another one that's kind of come crashing down is Figure, but hasn't really found its footing.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's at 36.42. I mean, last time we brought it up, I think it was like 60 and it ran to 74. So yeah, it's been cut in half since. And I was talking about that like looking attractive, and it looks very attractive at this point.
That's interesting. I'm going to have to take a look at that a little bit more.
I was actually going to ask you if you could dig in because you understand what it does more than I do. Like I see the financial, I'm like, this is very attractive, but I just don't understand the business fully. But like I own Coinbase and Robinhood. So like I have my direct ties because they track the price of Bitcoin. Their betas are like over 0.95 to Bitcoin. So I've got those trackers. And then I have like my Bitcoin, but I do love Figure.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a little bit more diving into that. I've always been curious about I'm
gonna reach out to their executive team, see if someone can come on and talk to you.
Yeah,
I feel like that's the best way to go about it. Then I could just watch that.
Let's see. Okay, so where are my notes here? So ever since this, all of this, what I'm talking about, this is all like ever since the first stuff started dropping on Iran. So, spot Bitcoin ETF holdings, they've increased by like 462 million. Oh, they expanded actually on Wednesday. That was just yesterday, 462 million. Third consecutive day of inflows. Total weekly inflows into Bitcoin ETFs is 1.14 billion. Bitcoin-based funds led 619 million in weekly crypto ETP inflows. And to make a point here, or some context rather, the ETF flows into Bitcoin, like IBIT, between November and February was 3 billion out. And that's the worst stretch since IBIT launched in 2024. But now you have, 620 million in weekly crypto ETP inflows. So that's, not 3 billion, but still it's a sizable amount. Strategy.
Yeah, I just look at like the magnitude of the pullback in Bitcoin, and you're about to talk about strategy. I feel like those pullbacks were just so significant that even a war and fears overhanging with that, like you can't kick it any further. Like it's already beat to crap.
I mean, even Cardano's Charles Hoskinson, he said like on it was either yesterday or a few days ago, he said that, as far as like sentiment and outlook is concerned for crypto, this is the worst it's ever been. Now, I don't know how much of that is, recency bias just because of where we're at. Because when you're down and you have money invested in something like this and all this shit's going on, it always feels bad. But does it feel as bad as it did in 2022? Like when when Terra collapsed and FTX? I don't know. Also, I've said it before about your first bear market in crypto, you're like, oh my God, what did I do? I'm going to get divorced, blah, 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 blah. And then your second bear market, you're like, I can't do this. I emotionally, psychologically can't do this. I'm done. the first like major dip in the second bear market you experience is like worse than the first one. And then your third bear market, you're like, oh, crypto's doing that thing. It's just another Thursday. What do you do?
I mean, so I just picked a random number, and it's from October 6th, Bitcoin's down 43.3%. And it's like, yeah, if you bought around there, that probably hurts. But in the last year, like I was just looking at the 1 year, it's down 14.6%. Like that's barely even a bear market.
Not for crypto.
Depending on what you're talking about. So like, it's all about when you entered the trade. Reddit is down 43.3% year to date, but depending on when you bought, you could still be up 100, 200%. It's like, it's all about the time frame and where you think this is going over the long term. Like if you think it's going to 1 million, you bought at 125,000, here's your gift. Like, don't worry about it.
If you look at Bitcoin, let me find one where I don't have a bunch of shit on it.
Now, the boys on Community Rip were talking about accumulation candles yesterday. Is that one you have right at that last candle of this chart?
I've never been I love Japanese candlesticks, and that's probably what I spend 90% of my time looking at, but I've never been one into correlating the pattern to a type of accumulation or distribution. I look at candlesticks. Candlesticks are a story, all right? Each candlestick is like a chapter or it's its own separate book. And because a candlestick tells you where the story starts, it has the high point of the story, the low point of the story, and it tells you where the story ends. Candlesticks, Japanese candlesticks and Japanese technical analysis in general is very subjective, and it's meant to be. It's meant to be very flexible, and it's meant to be interpretive. Western analysis is very, it's very strict. Like this, and this have to be true for this to be true. This has to happen. This has to happen. There's not a lot of wiggle room. Whereas Japanese analysis, there's a lot more, ways that you can look at things. And one of the problems I think, and this is me going off a little bit of a rant here. Sorry, Keith. One of the producer Keith. One of the things that I've always been frustrated with when it comes to technical analysis here in the West, if you want to call it that, is that we've attributed a lot of Western style kind of like strict, objective, dogmatic thinking to a chart style that is now the de facto one that is much more subjective and flexible. I'm not saying that they're contradictory. They're not. They're definitely not. Japanese analysis and Western analysis, they're very complementary. But I think a lot of the struggles that some people have when it comes to using Japanese candlesticks and they're integrating other forms of Western analysis is that sometimes it feels like they butt heads and they don't work well together. That's why I think if you're going to use a lot of tools from Western analysis in your trading and investing and analysis, you should use things that were built for that, like point figure charting, even Renko charts, which are a Japanese version as well, which are pretty analogous to point figure. Anyways, there I get the point.
I appreciate that.
But yeah, what I brought this up for was because when you look at this is all the way as far back as it goes in TradingView, which is actually pretty decent. But when you look at all of Bitcoin's history, you look at during accumulation phases and you measure, swings that occur no matter how long they last. They're pretty deep. And then as you get going on, they get shallower and shallower, without like going into drawing all of them. The point I'm trying to make is that a 50% retracement from the all-time high during an expansion phase is pretty normal. Used to be. Now that there's a lot more money in, that's reduced to like the kind of extreme of that is to 40%. So, when people are screaming that the end is nigh, it's not. This is pretty par for the course when it comes to crypto and Bitcoin in general. Ever since the strikes with Iran, it's up, 6 to 7%. The fear and greed index is still like at 13, so it's still in that fetal position category. Not like the screaming. This is the one where you're like, please make the pain stop. Prices are for the most part kind of rising during all this for crypto, not dramatically. Even though there's a whole wall of worry, and there hasn't been a ton of short squeezes either. There's been a lot of leverage wipeouts on both sides, but not a lot of major short squeezes. And the big thing is that the biggest part for crypto, which is not the thing that people in crypto really ever intended, but stablecoin supply has exploded. And in a lot of ways, I think that's probably been a benefit for the globe. Because you remember during the COVID shit when that was going on and how there was such a scramble for dollars, and love or hate Powell, but I think history books will be very kind to that man, because if it wasn't for some of the stuff that he did to make dollars more accessible, stuff could have been way, 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 way worse. So he did something good back then.
It's interesting to see how quickly, you look at the overall bounce in Bitcoin from, say, 60,000, 61,000 to 70, but then you see Coinbase going from, 130s, I think was its bottom, to now it's 193. Robinhood was 69, back to 77. The swings Circle is a better example, up 100%. Seeing which part of crypto they're tied to, whether it's Bitcoin directly, it seems like Coinbase has far exceeded the overall rebound. MicroStrategy might say the same thing. Maybe I think it was oversold in comparison to Bitcoin. Figure, I know there's a lot of other issues that were there, so that could explain why it's down significantly more. But it's interesting to see the divergence across, I guess, what type of crypto equity the company is and how it's related to Bitcoin.
Yeah. And in that same line, when we were just talking about the inflows and strategy buying, a lot of big money is not retreating. They're dipping their toes back in. And I mean, if there's ever the thing where it's buy when people are scared, that is what's happening with people with the big wallets. That's what they're doing right now. But I wanted to go into, I had a section here that I called wild stuff, stuff that doesn't get talked about a lot in financial news or crypto news, but things that are happening during this entire Operation Epic Fury that make you go, oh, this is kind of interesting. So it was doing a little digging. So XRP has had a pretty damn good, not price action wise, but fundamentally, some crazy stuff. February 2026 was one of its best months ever. Aviva investors, 246 million pounds, 246 billion in assets under management, partnered with Ripple to tokenize the fund. Societe Generale, that big French entity, launched its Euro stablecoin on XRPL. That would happen a little bit before, but there's some of the stuff has happened after. But XRP has done surprisingly well during all of this. Iran tried to shut down the entire crypto escape hatch. So this is probably one of the most underreported one, but Nobitex, I don't know how you pronounce it. I've heard people say Nobitex, Nobitex. That is Iran's largest exchange. They have 11 million users, 7.2 billion in 2025 volume. When the strikes happened, activity spiked 700%. Iran's central bank ordered domestic exchanges, including crypto and Nobitex and Wallex, to suspend USDT Rial trading pairs. That didn't really work that well.
Well, you would assume when something like this is happening, everybody's converting all of their local currency to Bitcoin. as like
Yeah.
the way to, if they're going to escape, they're going to go then translate that Bitcoin into that local currency.
Yeah, I mean that they've effectively like they want to trap 11 million crypto people into a depreciating Rial, and it's lost 90% of its value since 2018.
It's
Inflation's
not backed by anything at this point.
No,
It's like
I mean,
it's backed by rubble.
Yeah. Did you say the ruble?
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Inflation's like 40 to 50%. It's the highest recorded since World War II. I mean, it's not exactly sitting in good territory. But, the government couldn't touch the wallets, the self-custody crypto that's off exchanges. I think we'll hear there's going to be some horror stories that come out of the conflict, like any conflict. But for crypto, I think we'll hear a lot of positive use cases of how, people were able to either escape or stay alive through food or whatever by using crypto. I mean, same thing is like happened. There's all sorts of stories about how Venezuela, that's been the case where there's been like a de facto transition into using, U.S. stablecoins or Bitcoin or Dash or whatever to buy and sell things that we take for granted if we live in a stable economic zone.
Yeah, that's what you see with a lot of these international e-commerce companies. Like they need that immediate translation to a stable coin because then that's when you see all these massive adjustments for foreign currency translation, all this stuff. Like stable coins can eliminate almost all of that if they did this in real time.
Speaking of Iran, it is estimated that 2 to 5% of the entire global hash rate is done by Iran, and that their cost basis of mining is around $1,300 per coin.
Now, is that because it's very hot? So like I feel like they could just have solar panels across the entire freaking country and capture a lot of this energy to use for the mining.
I don't know how they factor these things in. It's like, okay, what are they like? How do they factor the cost? I mean, the state of Iran obviously is the one funding all of it. So,
yeah.
But
well,
it's
so like the other question, so like Saudi Arabia, they were going to have that mile long, looked like a giant mirror that people were going to live inside. And now it's changed to where it's going to be a data center. But like data center's biggest expense is cooling it. So like, is it a good idea to have it in a desert?
I mean, why not? Why not put it in one of the hottest places on the planet?
Why not put it in like Iceland or something, or like somewhere super cold, and then you like, because I live in like data center, like the capital for data centers, like Loudoun County's right by me, and that's just all data centers. And all it is, there's all this cooling equipment, and all you ever see is all the carrier trucks and all the different like AC components. I'm like, why not just put this stuff somewhere cold? Like, why the hell are you picking Virginia? It gets 100 degrees here in the summer. This is a terrible idea. Plus, my energy bill's doubling.
I have this is a little off topic. I have kind of a contrarian view of all of this shit. Like when you look at like technological infrastructure advances, when they get to a peak, it's like for whatever reason there is some type of like huge. This is like mainframe computers. I haven't talked about this to anybody, but this is just how my brain was working. Mainframe computers, there was so much infrastructure being built for mainframe computing because everybody agreed that in the 60s and through the 70s that computers were going to take over, but nobody ever really anticipated the speed at which you would get from a building being required to compute to a microprocessor. The same thing with these data centers. I think data centers are a huge like red fucking flag for that entire industry. That the technology to to make it more efficient, whether that's cold fusion or whatever the other stuff is, like to make things run without having to worry about how hot they get. I think that whole like
we're all gonna have like data centers.
Yeah, you'll be
like the Mac Mini is gonna be a data center.
Yeah, and then the ones that exist right now, we're gonna be like,
make them malls.
That building's turning into I don't know, a church.
I don't know what they could use it for because it's got no windows. So I mean, like a prison.
Probably
because those buildings
very big dodgeball court.
Oh yeah, laser tag. Movie theaters. You don't need windows for movie theaters.
Nope.
Bowling alleys. Man, we got this.
Skating rinks.
We're going to start a real estate investment trust, acquire all of these empty assets, and there we go.
Yeah. So a couple more things that are happening during all this stuff. Sorry, Keith. Keith, I'm sorry. I go off the rails.
I feel like that was pretty cool.
That's just my thought. Cardano is accepted now at 137 supermarkets in Switzerland. I mean, it's not like a huge, crazy adoption, but it is something that happened. The long duration bullish case for Bitcoin, the prolonged U.S. military engagement means expanded fiscal deficits, more insurance, more dollar supply growth. Kevin Warsh, that's the other thing that hasn't been talked about a lot. Like, he's officially nominated, right?
Trump nominated him. I don't know if it's like the official paperwork, but he said publicly, this is my choice. Because then all the headlines came out like, no, we want Jane, whatever, to be the pick. So I don't is it official paperwork? Like,
I think he was nominated to the Senate on March 4th. Now he's described Bitcoin as the policeman for monetary errors. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but that guy sounds like he's not too opposed to Bitcoin. I think everybody has known that he's been a kind of a Bitcoin.
I still want to pass it. I feel like that guy. We'd have 1% interest rates the day after that man takes office.
I mean, Arthur Hayes, and I don't know if you pay attention to him. He's like one of the only people that I really, really listen closely to and read and follow what they suggest, because Arthur Hayes is just one of the smartest freaking dudes on the planet. He doesn't get enough recognition, but he's dead right that the money printer is about to go burr, whether Trump wants it or not, or whatever party's in control. It's not going to matter. The money printer is going to have to go. It's going to have to. That's just how it goes.
I mean, all signs point to, regardless of who goes in there, they're going to have to print like absolute maniacs. Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but this is anecdotally, they always say a recession is when your neighbor loses their job. A depression is when you lose yours. I know quite a few people who haven't just lost their jobs, but are worried about their job getting downsized, and not just in the tech sector, like programmers and such.
Yeah, no, I know countless people that are. I don't know when I became the de facto AI expert, maybe because I just see the stuff daily. But I've got people every trade, hey, how long do you think till I'm replaced by AI? And I was like, well, what do you do again? I don't remember. But yeah, it used to be the whole thing was go get your engineering degree. That's the future. You'll never be replaced. It's you're the number one target right now.
I think it's crazy how fast that the transition is happening, though. I mean, it's not like the horse and buggy with the motor vehicles. That took decades to swap.
Man, seeing my in-laws, how quickly they've taken to ChatGPT. If they're researching something, oh, ChatGPT. And I was like, holy shit, wait. If I've got 60-plus-year-olds telling me to GPT something, this is moving a lot faster than I expected. Not like when you sign up your grandparents for Facebook in 2020 before we all abandoned it and went to Instagram. They've adopted it on their own quicker.
They have. That's great insight, Joey. Not only is AI a brand new technology, but it's a game changer.
Presented by Perplexity.
Yes, there you go. So yeah, I mean, as far as the Iran conflict going on, it's this for crypto. So far, it seems to be the only thing that I'm just going to repeat this because we didn't get to talk a lot about it, but the money flowing into real world asset tokenization, which is directly using crypto and blockchain, the amount of money going into stablecoins, the amount of money flowing into select altcoins that are going to be future blue chips, that number, the money going into it just keeps going up. The price action is the only bearish thing about crypto. That is it. That's how it's always been. The price action has only been the bearish thing. Everything else that goes on in the background, the fundamentals, the money, the outlook, the use, just keeps growing. And so I'm like a lot of people who've been in the space for a while. Every time it's down like this, I don't get worried about it that much anymore. And I just hang out and wait and secretly keep my mouth shut and go, I'm cool if it stays lower longer.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how many companies that started as the Bitcoin mining operations that have now switched to renting those GPUs to hyperscalers to use for their compute power rather than mining Bitcoin. And they'll say it's the price, but it's like they can't flip these multi-year contracts if the price of Bitcoin goes to 150,000. They want to start mining again. So I find that stuff interesting because it's like, there's a finite supply. Granted, there's going to be years left of mining, but like, why do you want to give up just because of something we know always happens, which is extreme volatility?
Yep. And there's only a million Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing I didn't talk about. The 20 millionth Bitcoin was mined, and there's only a million left to be mined. And the last one doesn't get mined until the year 2140.
So maybe that's why. They just know there's not much left.
There's not much left.
We're going to get these multi-year contracts. All right, that makes much more sense.
Yeah. They'll flip it. They'll flip around to mining once it's, once they realized they shouldn't have done that.
Someone's got to claim like we mined the final Bitcoin and we'll sell it on eBay for $1 million.
I wrote on Monday or Tuesday that the math involved, it's not, the actual number is like 20,843,000 because it won't be like a final one just because of how it's worked. But anyways,
I want to know what the actual total supply is given how much has been destroyed or lost. You got to think it's probably like 16 million.
It's between depending on what you read or whatever, it's somewhere between 15 and 19 million is the actual supply, because you have so many people who mined it just for fun and were like blah. I mean, there's old YouTube videos of people like making fun of their roommate or their sister or their brother. On their screen they have like 23,000 Bitcoin and it's worth 3 cents, and they're like, yeah, it might be worth something. I highly doubt that person that was 19 at the time held on to it. So that's 23,000.
They kept that flash drive somewhere, that floppy disk, whatever they had it saved on.
Floppy disk. So I mean, yeah, a lot of that Bitcoin that was mined is just gone forever. And I know people who used to mine it and then they don't know what they did with it. It's gone. I mean, they got rid of their computer, they sold it. It's just not there.
See, then someone needs to do the math, do all these different ETFs, all these institutions, what they claim to own, add up those numbers and see what that number comes to, because the way these people lever themselves up, it's like, I want to know what the actual ownership is within specific ETFs or what it's backed by and see what that number shows. Mm-hmm. See who's full of crap. It won't add up. It'll be like off by 20 million.
Yeah, and you can even like monitor the wallet flows for the wallets that we know that are part of certain ETFs and treasuries, but there's always somebody saying, "Wait a minute, something doesn't add up here. 1 + 2 doesn't equal paddle." Something's weird, but anyways, all right. Oh yeah, sorry, Keith, kind of babbled a lot. But thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next week.